Have you ever noticed how much of our daily lives revolve around athletics? Every season has its own sport, its own rituals, and its own devoted fans. For many people, sports aren't just games anymore. They're a lifestyle. Think about it. Every Sunday, diehard football fans fill stadiums, skip church, and pour hours into fantasy leagues. We even build entire social spaces, like sports bars, just to watch athletes we've never met. From the Christian worldview, worship is meant for God alone. Yet our culture often treats athletics like false gods. The devotion, excitement, and even sacrifice we give to the sports can quietly replace the awe we owe to Him. So here's the question. What happens when athletics become an object of the ultimate adoration in our society?
The term worship means giving the highest adoration to a being or a thing. Adoration is the act of valuing something or someone as the highest source of meaning or fulfillment in your life. In his first chapter of Proslogium, St. Anselm reflects a deep prayer rooted in the sense of adoration to God. And throughout the Bible, you will see scripture references such as Matthew 6:21, "For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also," and Exodus 23, "You shall have no other gods before me." Now, what that can mean is that worship is not just tied to a Christian worldview. Many different items can take the place of the highest adoration. As human beings, we always will put something in that space of highest adoration, whether that is food, career, wealth, materials, or athletics. Our worldview will always shape our worship. Whatever people adore the most or put in the highest priority will inevitably become their God.
What does it mean to worship athletics in today's culture? Worshipping athletics does not mean people are bowing down and worshiping sports teams or players, but rather their ultimate devotion and time is toward a specific sports team, or in the case of an athlete, a sport. In an article written by Ellis and Weir, most high-performing athletes see their sport as worship, and viewers feel like they are part of a seasonal ritual. While sports can be a great way to worship the Lord, such as praising God for the body He blessed you with to be able to play, it becomes a problem when God is forgotten and never thanked. When both fans and athletes lose focus of God, it's easy to idolize what your attention is primarily focused on, and in this case, athletics. Some examples of this include families prioritizing athletics over church, and even family when youth sports events or professional games are on weekends. The Sabbath, meant for relaxing, is shifting towards entertainment instead of God's original plan for Sunday. Families may put more money and time into sports than to a church and even base their emotions off of how good the team they support is. Athletes are often seen and spoken of as legends or saviors, and fans wear jerseys like they are religious or sacred symbols. When famous athletes speak online, their words weigh heavier than a normal person's due to their status. Athletic success is often celebrated more than academic success. Stadiums worth millions of dollars are built for sports teams, while academics may be ignored. Most young athletes identify themselves only as the sport they play, so when they lose that sport, they lose themselves. In Matthew 6:21, it says, "Where your treasure is, there your heart will also be." The sports themselves aren't bad, but the idolization distorts perspective. Admiration turns into idolatry when appreciation becomes dependence, when our joy or sense of purpose rises and falls with something other than God. In Romans 12:1-2, it says, "Offer your bodies as a living sacrifice," a verse connecting proper worship to the idea of using our bodies, even in sports, to honor God.
Have you ever noticed how deeply athletics are woven into our culture, almost like a religion? From the moment we turn on the TV, we're surrounded by constant coverage and glorification of athletes. The media treats games like sacred events, and players like modern-day heroes. In schools, athletics are often prioritized over academics. For example, at one public school in Montana, funding was consistently used to refinish the basketball and volleyball gym every year, while an after-school program that helped low-income students was denied funding altogether. That decision revealed what the community valued most: sports over support. Economically, athletes have become a multi-billion-dollar empire of merchandise, ticket sales, and sponsorships. Communities rally around teams for identity, unity, and even purpose. Society rewards devotion to athletics, making it seem like success on the field equals worth in life. Athletes' opinions trend more than world leaders, and events like the Olympics or the Super Bowl feel like cultural rituals, complete with songs, symbols, and saints. In many ways, athletics have become our own society's most celebrated form of worship.
Now for theological reflection. Christian theology teaches that humans are designed for worship, meaning that we will naturally direct ultimate value and devotion towards something. Theologian James K.A. Smith explains that humans are liturgical creatures, which means our actions and desires are shaped by what we love and worship. And when this love is directed towards God, worship does fill its intended purpose. But when not, it leads to idolatry. Now, as a former athlete, I can say that sports are a healthy form of community and discipline. But when they become idolatrous, they twist our identity and they overblow their meaning in our lives. Signs of this idolatry include athletes being treated as saviors, fans shaping their identity around their teams, and society placing more worth on the economic success of the sport rather than the virtue of the athletes themselves. And this redirection dehumanizes both athletes and spectators because it values them for their performance rather than the fact that they were made in the image of God. Now, in order to restore the right and proper worship, we must reorient our purpose. Sports are something that can be enjoyed as a gift, but we must put worship back onto God. We can enjoy the gift, but we must not make the gift greater than the giver.
From a Christian worldview, every person is made in the image of God. But when society idolizes high-performance athletes, it often strips away that image. Instead of seeing athletes as people, they become objects of entertainment or profit. We see this in media and marketing, through things like fantasy football, where players are treated like statistics to be traded. Fans pour money and emotion into these games, sometimes even harming their finances or relationships. A study from Merrimack College found that when gambling was the main motivation, fans actually showed higher levels of dehumanization toward athletes, caring more about performance than the person behind it. This mindset reduces human dignity to physical ability or fame. It also takes a toll on the athletes themselves, who often feel like the property owned by their teams. They're pushed to play through pain, judged harshly when they fail, and many struggle with anxiety or depression after retirement. When worth is tied to performance instead of God, both fans and athletes lose sight of what truly means to be human.
Throughout this video, we've looked at what it means to worship, how our culture often places athletics at the center, and what happens when that focus takes God's place. We've also seen that worshiping sports can distort our values and purpose, but it doesn't have to stay that way. What would happen if we valued people not for their performance, but because they're made in God's image? Imagine if sports pointed us back to the Creator instead of becoming the creation we worship. Athletics can be redeemed through humility, teamwork, and gratitude, reminding us that competition isn't evil, but a chance to glorify God through discipline and joy. So take a moment to reflect. What do you truly worship, and where do you find your ultimate meaning?